What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, you and I are going to talk about the top 3 reasons why people will quit working out and the top 3 ways that you can prevent it from happening. So if you ever feel like quitting, you know exactly what to do to stay on track. Let's get into the video. All right, we're back to the office. Let's talk about why you quit working out and how to fix that so you don't ever quit again. Now, there are 3 reasons we're going to discuss in this video, 3 reasons why people quit working out, and then 3 of the best things that you can do to make sure that you don't quit. So the first thing and the first reason that most people will quit working out is because they feel like it's not working and or they don't see any progress, right? Which is sort of the same thing. They don't see the progress, so then they think it's not working. To start, I want to use an analogy. So let's check this out. We've got a wine glass, actually a fucking huge wine glass, courtesy of my wife, and we've got eye drops. I'm going to show you something that I think is going to change your life forever. And I actually did this on Instagram recently. It got a huge and amazing response. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you can follow me right here. But what I want you to imagine is that every time I put a drop in this glass, 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, every drop is another day. And on this day, you have been perfect with your workouts, perfect with your nutrition, and you got a perfect night of sleep. So we have 3 days. Now we have 4 days. And we have 5, 6, 7. You get the picture, right? Well, you just had about a week of perfect training, perfect nutrition, perfect sleep. You're fucking working hard every single day. And when you look in the glass, you can't see anything. You don't see any change whatsoever. It might as well be like nothing fucking happened. But you know, it's only been a week. It's only been a week. I'm gonna go hard again. So then you have another week. 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 day. And this is going way faster than in real time. In real time, it's like, oh my God, here's lunch. I gotta make sure my lunch is on point. Got enough protein, get enough fiber. Okay, gotta make sure this is here. Oh, I'm almost at my calories. I can't go over. So it's hard, it's difficult. You get to the end of 2 weeks. You don't see shit. What's the point? I've tried so hard for 2 weeks. I don't see any change. Well, you don't see much change at the beginning. But let's say after 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks of being really on point, then you see this. You see a little bit of change. Not much. It's not overflowing. But you see little changes. Maybe your pants start to feel a little bit looser. Maybe you added 5 pounds to your dumbbell bench press. Maybe you're feeling more energetic. Maybe someone at the office said, hey, are you losing weight? Something small, just a little bit. But this is after like 4, 6, 8 weeks. Keep going. Another day on point, another day on point, another day on point, another day on point. You don't see much. And then 3 months goes by, 4 months goes by, 5 months goes by, and all of a sudden, your glass is getting very, very full. But keep in mind the time frame here. This is 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, and still you're nowhere near where you want to be. But you can see that you're making progress. So when you're going along your fitness journey, if we want to call it that, you have to remember every day is like an eye drop in a big glass. You won't see the progress for a while. You won't feel the progress for a while. You're gonna have to work very hard for essentially little to no reward in the short term. But you have to remember, this isn't a short-term game. You're not doing this to get better in the next week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You're doing this to help you live longer, to have a better quality of life, to be stronger so you can function, so you don't need help as you get older. This is for the long term. There's no end date. There's no finish line here. If you're trying to lose weight as quickly as you can in 2 weeks, this is the wrong fucking channel for you. Actually, you know what? Maybe this is the right channel for you. You need to watch this. You shouldn't be trying to lose as much weight as you can in 2 weeks. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't help you achieve your goals. I promise you, it does more harm than good. So if you're quitting working out, or you're quitting eating well, or you're quitting doing whatever because you don't see progress in the first couple of weeks, you're fucking up. You just need to stay consistent. Stop expecting to have a full glass within the first 2 weeks and start understanding that the first 2 weeks, you're probably not gonna see anything. Now, another thing to keep in mind, I'm just gonna put this outside the shot for right now. Another thing to keep in mind, if you're thinking about quitting because you feel like it's not working or you're not making progress, I want you to think about something. You have two options here, and just two. The first option is that you quit because you feel like it's not working. You don't see the results, so you just give up. Stay on the couch, watch TV, Netflix, drink alcohol, eat a lot of junk. Like, why bother? It's not working, so just fuck it. That's option A. Option B, on the other hand, is you keep going because you know, even if you can't see the results, at least you're doing something positive. You know that working out is good for you. You know that eating well is good for you. You know that hitting your protein, hitting your fiber, making sure you're eating whole, minimally processed foods is good for you. You know that staying hydrated is good for you. You know that getting to bed early and getting a full 8 hours of sleep is good for you. You know this. And even if you can't see it on the outside, you know that you're doing the right thing, not just physiologically, but mentally, emotionally, and in life. Not to mention that so many of the results that are going on from working out and eating well and sleeping well are internal. You can't see them. You can't see them on a daily basis. But your heart is either getting healthier or it's not. Your lungs are either getting healthier or they're not. Your brain is either getting healthier or it's not. And if you're putting in the work, you're training, your strength training, you're getting your steps in, you're doing some cardio, you're getting high quality sleep, you're not overdoing it with the alcohol, you're eating whole minimally processed foods. If you're doing that, then your insides are gonna be healthier. You're gonna live, hopefully, a longer, healthier life in which you're more capable of taking care of yourself. So remember, in any situation, this isn't just with fitness, but in anything in life, either you can quit and give up, or you can keep going because you know it's the right thing to do. And when it comes to working out and eating well and sleeping well, there's no question. We all know the right answer. You just gotta keep doing it. Now, the second reason that people will quit working out is very often because they had to take some time away. Maybe they missed one workout, or maybe they missed one meal, or maybe they had a whole weekend where they didn't work out, didn't get their steps in, ate like shit, or maybe they went on a vacation for a week. Or maybe someone in their family died or got really sick and they just took a whole month away. God forbid. And then they're like, oh, what's the point? I ruined all my progress. So then they quit. They just stopped going to the gym altogether. They stopped working out. They stopped eating well. They stopped taking care of themselves. I want you to pay very, very close attention to what I'm about to say. There are people, some of whom you probably know, but their stories are all over the internet. People who spent their entire life, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 plus years, people who are 60 plus years old, who spent their entire life not working out, not a single time, not focusing on what they were eating, just overall not being healthy. And on a dime, they decided, I need to make a change. 60 fucking years they didn't do anything. And then they decided to make a change. They lose 20, 30, 50, 100 plus pounds. I know them personally. Many of them have been my clients. I've been with them on their first day in the gym after 40, 50 years of not doing anything. I've seen it firsthand, and I know you've heard about it. So there are people who spent their whole life not doing anything, and you think because you missed one meal or one workout or a weekend or a week or a month or a year, you think that because of that, it justifies quitting? Even me, a fitness professional, I spent the first part of my whole life up to about 26, 27 years old. I was very athletic. I was working out all the time. I was an elite powerlifter, a wrestler, all of this stuff. When I started coaching Gary Vaynerchuk, I coached Gary Vaynerchuk for 3 years, starting on June 1st, 2016, and I went to June 1st, 2019. I coached him every day, 7 days a week for 3 years straight. Traveled all over the world with him. If Gary was in Hong Kong, I was in Hong Kong. If he was in LA, I was in LA. If he was in Amsterdam, I was in Amsterdam. If he was in Nashville, I was in Nashville. Every day, 7 days a week, 3 years straight. I didn't have a break. And because of that, because I was coaching Gary, traveling all over the world, and also trying to grow and build my business, I let my own fitness go to the wayside, which is not something I'm proud of, but I very much believe it was necessary in order for me to have the growth that I've had, and I don't regret it. But this picture that you see here of me is after those 3 years coaching Gary. I gained a lot of body fat. I lost a lot of muscle and a lot of strength. 3 years of that. And here's also a picture of me before I started coaching Gary, where I was shredded to bits, an elite power lifter. And then here's a picture of me once I decided to get back on track, once I stopped coaching Gary and I could get more time for myself and my own personal fitness. You can see there has been a huge transformation for myself, but even after 3 years of eating like shit, barely working out, getting terrible sleep, which I've spoken a lot about on my podcast. If you don't listen to my podcast, go listen here. I talk a lot about all the struggles that I've had and all the things that I've been through. I was still able to just get back on track, get my health in check. I've been able to reduce my blood pressure. I've been able to improve my cholesterol, like have overall a very, very healthy body, mind, and everything that comes with that. If you miss a day or a week or a month or a year or whatever it is, and you're thinking about justifying quitting because of that, get the fuck out of here. You're making an excuse and it's absolute horseshit. People say, well, how do I get back on track after going on vacation? How do I get back on track after taking time off? You walk through the fucking door. That's it. If you're just trying to get back on track, that means that you've been to the gym before. It means you've gone to work out before. What did you do on day one? You started light. Maybe you just did body weight. Maybe you just walked on the treadmill. Maybe you went on the elliptical. Maybe you just did a few exercises. You start light. You don't pick up where you left off. You go in and meet yourself where you're at today. And that might mean you're not where you were when you left. And that's okay. But that doesn't justify not going back to the gym and working out. Okay, now the third reason that people quit working out. And before I get into it, make sure you sign up to my email list if you are not already. The link is in the description. Every single video, I pick 10 people who are on my email list to win a free month in my inner circle. It's where I give new workouts every month. We have an amazing group community, nutrition guidelines, video courses, exercise video tutorials, all of it. Click the link in my description, get on my email list. I will pick 10 people to win a free month in my inner circle. And if you win, I will email you directly and let you know how to get in for your free month. If you're already on my email list, you don't need to sign up. It's already good to go. But if you're not on my email list yet, click the link in the description, get on it, and I will pick 10 people from this video to win a free month in my inner circle. Now, for the third reason why people quit working out, it is often because they have some sort of an injury. Maybe you hurt your shoulder, maybe you hurt your knee, maybe your back. For me personally, I'm actually still overcoming a broken rib. I broke my rib in jiu-jitsu, but actually, as you saw in today's video, I was still able to train jiu-jitsu. Now, keep in mind, I took 6 weeks off of jiu-jitsu. I just got back in the last 2 weeks. I took 6 weeks off, but I was still able to find a way to train around the injury. It wasn't optimal training. It wasn't training that I was like, oh, this is my favorite. My favorite training is jiu-jitsu, but I wasn't able to do that because I had a broken rib. So I was still able to get my steps in. I was still able to get on the elliptical. I was still able to do more of a bodybuilding style training approach, more muscle isolation as opposed to huge compound movements, which is my preferred style. But I couldn't do that because I had a broken rib. So I changed the style because something is better than nothing. Now, I want you to think about this. If you hurt your finger, or you hurt your wrist, or hurt your shoulder, or you hurt your ankle, your knee, whatever the fuck it is, you can't work out because you sprained your wrist. There are people who don't have a whole fucking arm and they still work out. There are people who have no arms and they still work out. There are people who don't have a leg and there are people who don't have any legs and they still work out. So if you're gonna sit here and try and convince yourself that you can't work out because you got a sprained wrist or you got a cranky shoulder, come on, that's horseshit. I'm not gonna say it's easy. I'm not gonna say it's fun. You might have to do a type of training or exercise that you don't really enjoy, or at least not enjoy as much as you do with the other thing that you were doing. But just because you can't do one thing doesn't mean you can't or shouldn't do something else, especially when it comes to your health, especially when it comes to momentum. And this is something that I think is very overlooked and underrated and under-discussed in fitness. So much of your health and fitness is about momentum, about just keeping the ball rolling. If you go from training consistently, eating well, sleeping well, all of that to just dead stop, it's so difficult to push that boulder and get it going again. You take a month, 2 months, 3 months completely away, it's like, oh my God, the feeling of overwhelm that you have to overcome in order to get back in the gym and start working out again is devastating. But even if you just go a couple times a week, or even if now during your workout where you would normally be strength training, you're now just getting your steps in, or maybe, who knows, maybe you hurt your legs so you can't do lower body workouts, but you can still do upper body workouts, whatever it is, as long as you just keep going, keep making it a habit, doing something, even super low intensity, something is better than nothing. And not just from a physiological perspective, but also from a psychological, emotional, and behavioral perspective. So if you're here and trying to say, oh, I sprained my wrist, oh, my finger hurts, oh, my shoulder's cranky, that sucks. And I understand, I get it. I've had my fair share of injuries. But just because you're injured doesn't mean you can't do something. In fact, when you're injured, generally speaking, doing something will help recover more quickly and more completely. In fact, let's say you hurt your right arm. There's a lot of research on this. This is very interesting. If you hurt your right arm, you can't do anything with your right arm. Many people will say, oh, well, I don't want to do my left arm because then my left arm is going to get disproportionately strong to my right arm. Not only is that incorrect, but what we found through research, and when I say we, I didn't do the research, but it's very widely published and easily accessible research, is that there's a crossover effect. So if I can't train my right arm, maybe it's in a cast or a sling or whatever it is, but I train my left arm, muscle mass and strength is better preserved in your injured arm than if you didn't train at all. Now, no matter what, your left arm is going to end up being stronger than your right arm during this injury because you can't use your right arm. It's going to atrophy. You will lose strength and muscle in it. So your left arm will automatically become stronger, just by nature. But by strength training with that left arm, you can actually preserve strength and muscle more in the right arm. And this is just wild to me. And it's not just for your arms, it's for your legs as well. So if you're over here and just saying, oh, I can't work out because I broke my nail, or I hurt my finger, or my knuckle, or my wrist, or my elbow. Listen, I know it sucks, I know it's difficult, but don't stop. Keep doing something. Find anything that doesn't hurt it. Even if you don't enjoy it as much, just keep doing something. The last thing I want to add to that, it's very important to remember, when you overcome the injury, once the injury is healed, 99.9% of the time, you're going to come back, you're going to be weaker than when you first started. You're not going to be able to lift the same amount that you were lifting before you got injured. You're not going to be able to run as fast. You're not going to be able to run for as long. Your conditioning won't be as good. Your strength won't be as good. You're going to come back worse than you were before, no matter what, even if you continue to train throughout it. And a lot of people get really demoralized. Well, what does that mean? Where should I begin? What should I do when I go in? You go in and you start with what you can do. Do not think that you're going to be able to do what you could do before, because you're not. And that's okay. At least you're back in there and you're doing something. The cool part is it is much easier to get back to a previous level of strength and conditioning than it is to get there in the first place. So oftentimes your first 1 to 4 workouts back are going to be the worst. It's going to feel terrible. You're going to be like, I'm so weak. I'm so deconditioned. I'm so out of shape. It's going to feel that way. You're going to be sucking wind. It's not going to be fun. But within 4 to 6 weeks, almost every single time, you're going to be back to where you were. It depends on the injury. It depends on how long you were out for. But generally speaking, for relatively not terrible injuries, not severe surgeries, within 4 to 6 weeks, you're going to be right back to where you were. No problem. Especially if you keep training when you're injured. You're just doing the things that you can do without hurting yourself. So keep that in mind and just don't stop. All right, now we are going to announce the 3 people who won a free month in the Inner Circle from the previous video. So I'm very excited to announce Alexander Chanit 4001, I'm going to mispronounce this one, Vaduva Andrea 9308, and Jason Rios 3120. You all win a free month in the Inner Circle. And just to be clear, every single video, I pick 3 people to win a free month in the Inner Circle. All you need to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and then leave a relevant comment on this video. And as long as you do that, you'll be entered to win a free month in your circle. So between this and then signing up for my email list, which by the way, if you haven't done that, do that in the description. I'm giving away a fuck ton of free months in my Inner Circle. I hope you enjoy it. If you haven't done it yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment. You're entered to win a free month in your circle, and I will announce the winners in the next video. All right, now we're gonna do Instagram Q&A. And by the way, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you can do that right here. Every YouTube video, I pick 2 questions from my Instagram Q&As to answer here on YouTube. So first one is from Laura Giordano, and she said, settle a debate with my sons. Does calorie deficit make you lose any muscle you have? Very interesting way of phrasing it, and it's a wonderful question. And I'll start by saying you need to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose fat. Period, end of story. Doesn't matter if you do keto, doesn't matter if you do Weight Watchers, doesn't matter if you do carnivore, doesn't matter if you're plant-based, doesn't matter which diet you follow. The only way to lose fat is to be in a calorie deficit. However, maybe however wasn't the right word to use there, but we're gonna stick with it. However, being in a calorie deficit significantly increases the likelihood of losing muscle mass. Why is that? Well, it's because your body, by definition, a calorie deficit, an energy deficit, by definition, you are not feeding yourself enough energy to maintain the current mass that you have. Now, first, your body is going to go for glycogen stores, just for quick energy. Then your body will start going after fat stores. But if you are not doing things correctly, your body will also go after muscle. The good news is you can prevent this by doing some very simple things. Keeping your protein intake high. That's number one. If you keep your protein intake high, you will reduce, limit, or completely eliminate any muscle loss. Strength training, and specifically resistance training with heavier weights, will also help you reduce, limit, or prevent any muscle loss whatsoever. So keeping your protein high, and I'll give recommendations in a second. Making sure you're strength training and lifting weights, that's gonna help a lot. The other really, really big one, actually 2 other big ones, but the other most important one specifically in regard to calories is not being in a huge calorie deficit. So if you have a very drastic calorie deficit where you're reducing calories by 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, you're essentially starving yourself, then you are radically increasing the likelihood of losing muscle mass, which is one of the many reasons why a huge calorie deficit is not a good approach. There are many other reasons why it's not a good approach either, but the sustainability of it is severely compromised, partially because you're going to be losing so much muscle mass. The goal of a sustainable calorie deficit is to eat as much as you can while losing fat as sustainably as you can and while maintaining as much muscle mass. If you have a huge calorie deficit and you're basically starving yourself, you're going to be losing more muscle mass. And the last thing that you really have a lot of control over here is sleep. If you are not getting enough sleep, at least 7 to 8 hours a night of high quality sleep, you are radically increasing your risk of losing muscle mass. Now, I understand, new parents, I'm sorry, I get it. I have an 11-month-old daughter. Like, I understand sleep isn't going to be great. So you can sort of essentially guarantee that you will have a greater chance of muscle loss than someone who doesn't have to be up all throughout the night and is sacrificing their sleep. It's okay. It doesn't mean it's not worth it. It just means you have to understand maybe strength gains will be slower. Maybe you're not going to be fully stoked with your physique during this time. That's okay. It doesn't mean you still can't work your best to improve your health overall. So does a calorie deficit definitively cause you to lose any and all muscle mass? No, of course not. But it significantly increases the likelihood of it, especially if you have too big of a calorie deficit, you're not getting enough protein, you're not getting enough sleep, and you're not strength training. That's like the quadrifecta of things to do to make sure you don't lose your muscle mass. Now, if you want to make sure you're having the right amount of protein and the right amount of calories, go to my calorie calculator. It is free. It is here on YouTube. Click the link in the description. I have a whole video explaining how many calories and how much protein you should have in order to lose fat sustainably without losing muscle. All right, next question is from TJM Meh. What do you think of heavy kettlebell swings for muscle hypertrophy within a routine? Really good question. And brief aside, I was just talking with Mitch, my videographer. If you don't follow Mitch, you can do that right here. He's the man. He spelled kettlebell correctly. A lot of people, for some reason, think they're called kettleballs. They're not kettleballs, kettlebell. So with that being said, what do I think of heavy kettlebell swings for muscle hypertrophy within a routine? And to clarify, muscle hypertrophy means muscle growth. So what he's talking about is, do I think that heavy kettlebell swings, do I think that they're good for building more muscle? I'll start by saying I think kettlebell swings are amazing for many things. I think they're amazing for developing speed. I think they're amazing for developing explosive power. I think they're amazing for developing rapid rate of force development. I think they're great for improving your hamstring strength and your glute strength, your conditioning. I think they're great for your cardiovascular health. I think they're great for your grip strength. I think they're great for so many things. I think they're great especially for people who want to get some conditioning in with essentially little to no impact. There's no ground reaction force. You're not jumping. It's just you're standing on the ground. I don't think that kettlebell swings are great for muscle hypertrophy. I don't think that they are great for building bigger muscles. I think they're really good at building stronger muscles. And there's a whole separate distinction to be made between strength and size. But I mean, even if you just think about it we'll look at it from the perspective of a gymnast or a figure skater, some of the strongest people in the world, they're not jacked. They don't look like bodybuilders. They don't have a lot of mass, but they're very strong. I think kettlebells lend themselves to helping you get much stronger without packing on a lot of mass. And actually, if you go look at kettlebell sport athletes, you can go Google search kettlebell sport. There are people who compete in kettlebells. And most of them are very lean, almost like wiry, but crazy strong. It doesn't benefit them to have a lot of mass because it's going to slow them down when it comes to conditioning. The more mass you have, the more energy it's going to take for your body to actually supply oxygen throughout your body, which is a disadvantage. So generally speaking, kettlebells are an amazing form of exercise to get you stronger, improve your conditioning, all of that. But if you want to build bigger muscles, I wouldn't make heavy kettlebell swings a major part of your routine. It doesn't mean you can't do them. It doesn't mean they can't be included. It just means I wouldn't use them as a main hypertrophy focused exercise. That's the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you don't already. Make sure you get on my email list. The link is in the description if you haven't already. I'm picking 10 people to win a free month in the Inner Circle. If you win, I'll email you so you know. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon. What are you still doing here? Video's over. Go work out. Don't quit. Subscribe to the channel though. See you later.